everybody, what's happening? It's Chris Fitzpatrick once again on Chris Fitzpatrick Speaks. Thank you so much for joining me today and checking out the YouTube channel. I really do appreciate it. I hope you find the information that we're going to talk about today helpful. I hope you find it entertaining. Today we're going to be talking about superheroes and SWOT analysis, which are two things that don't seem like they go together, but hopefully by the end of this, it'll all make sense. This is a brand new topic. I've taken it from some inspiration from some books and some music that I've been enjoying over the last few weeks. And this is also going to be one of the new presentations that I'm able to speak about. So if you're interested in learning more about this or any of the other topics I talk about, please hit the subscribe button on YouTube, ring the bell, share with your networks, let people know about the content here at Chris Fitzpatrick Speaks. You can find me on Instagram at Chris Fitzpatrick Speaks. You can find me on LinkedIn. Would love to connect. And if you do check me out on LinkedIn, subscribe to my newsletter where you'll see the written versions of these videos every other week as well. If you have a question that you'd like me to tackle here, please leave it in the comments here on YouTube or on LinkedIn. Let me know on Instagram, or in the next couple weeks, you'll visit my new website, chrisfitzpatrickspeaks.com. Let's get on with the topic, and let's talk a little bit first about superheroes. Superheroes have been part of our culture for decades now. They're absolutely iconic. Superheroes have these remarkable special abilities. Some of the most known superheroes in the world include Batman, Iron Man, Wonder Woman, Superman. They face off against powerful villains who would otherwise harm innocent people or harm society. And the superheroes are there to try and save the day. So what do superheroes have to do with professional development and skill building? Well, we'll come back to that in just a moment. First, I want to explain about the SWOT analysis. Now, the SWOT analysis has been around since the 1960s, and it's used by business leaders and analysts to take a look at where a business is or an organization is strategically. It's divided up into 4 equal quadrants. SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. I know my business majors know that one really well. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. When you look at each one individually, it gives you a chance to see where your organization is at the present time, and also give you a little bit of an idea of where it might go in the future. If you bisect the SWOT analysis horizontally, you're also dividing that chart into 2 equal halves. The top half, where you have the strengths and the weaknesses, represents internal things that you can control. And the bottom half represents the opportunities and threats, external and environmental things that you can't control, but you still have to be able to consider. Now, organizations use this, once again, so they know what the organization does well, where the organization's blind spots might be, and what's going on in the environment around the organization that leadership team needs to be aware of. That's all great information. But I have found that a great use of the SWOT analysis is for the individual, the personal SWOT analysis. When I mentor other people, I will often encourage them to complete a SWOT analysis and really take in that self-awareness and understand what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses, what are their opportunities, and what are their threats. Now again, as I mentioned, strengths are internal and we can control them. These are the skills that we possess. These are the things that we do particularly well. Our goal with strengths is to accentuate them, possibly in an interview, in a networking setting, and certainly day-to-day on our job. We can always work on our strengths, we can improve them, we can upskill them, and our strengths are often things that we rely upon to teach and train others. Next to strengths is weaknesses. Now, this can be a difficult topic for a lot of folks, but it's important not to shy away from it. Weaknesses, once again, are internal, and we can control them. These are our struggles, our potential foils and pitfalls on our road to success. Now, you may not be able to remove a weakness entirely, but you can address it, and you can work towards it. The goals for weaknesses, again, not to avoid them. If you avoid a weakness, it just sits and festers and then often presents itself at the worst possible time. A great way to address your weaknesses in an interview is not to try and ignore them or try to make up an answer about how your strength is really your weakness, but it's to address them in terms of how you're working on trying to get better at a particular area. We all have weaknesses. Superheroes do too. Let's go to the environmental. Our opportunities, these are external, outside of our control. Our goal is to try and take advantage of our opportunities and score some early wins. We create our own opportunities through luck and talent, just as much as the environment around us creates opportunities for us. Luck and talent, that's interesting. I'm firmly in the camp of one who believes that luck is where opportunity meets preparation. So the better prepared you are to take advantage of your opportunities, the luckier you'll seem. Now we have the threats, also external, environmental, and outside of our control. Our goal is to manage threats to prevent them from tripping us up and exposing our weaknesses. Just like with opportunities, we can create threats in our environment or exacerbate them by our own actions. So we also have to be mindful of what threats we're creating for ourselves and try to minimize them. That's less that we have to worry about environmentally, and more we can focus on ourselves internally. So what if, instead of just completing a SWOT analysis that goes over our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats in a well-organized but fairly linear manner, we flip the script a little bit? Instead of the page of a SWOT analysis, let's put ourselves into the pages of a comic book. Let's do a superhero SWOT analysis. So each one of us can be the superhero we truly are, both in our work and our personal lives. Here's how we do it. Take the SWOT analysis that you complete. Focus on your strengths first. Review that list and make sure you're comfortable with what strengths you've listed. And then take one of those items that you feel really confident about, that strength that you know you do as well as anybody in your circle, and elevate that to superhero status. That is your superpower. You now have gone from a strength to a superpower. It's pretty impressive. Batman and Iron Man have genius intellect. Superman can fly and has super strength. How would you use your superpower to benefit others as well as yourself? Maybe you have super empathy, a sign of tremendous emotional intelligence. You can see and feel and understand the feelings of other people and adjust yourself as a leader, as a teammate, as an ally, in order to support that person to the best of your ability. Maybe you have incredible focus and you're able to withstand and you're impervious to distractions that come around. So you can get a lot of work done and you're able to complete tasks very effectively. Don't limit yourself on what your superpower can be. Anything that you feel really comfortable doing that you think helps define your strengths. Now, a superhero wouldn't be a superhero without its weakness. Tony Stark's weakness is an ego. Batman needs to keep his identity concealed to protect the people he loves. And of course, Superman has kryptonite. What would our arch enemies use against us if given the chance? Well, this is what we call our Achilles heel. Our Achilles heel is anything that will more than likely trip us up on our road to success. The thing that we fear or the thing that concerns us. What we always want to be mindful for, always on the lookout. Our Achilles heel can also be the result of our superpower. A moment ago, I gave you an example of the person with incredible focus. You might have somebody with tremendous work ethic who always gets their work done. But behind the scenes, they're a workaholic. And they might struggle to maintain their personal relationships. Or they might deal with stress or impacts to their personal health. Their strength has now also created their Achilles heel. And they have to be mindful of it so it doesn't destroy them. Opportunities. These are environmental, bear in mind. You can't always control these. These are your allies as a superhero. So when you're assembling your team or you're looking at the circle of people that you have around you, take stock of who you're standing shoulder to shoulder with during conflict and during challenge. Do your strengths balance out the weaknesses on the team? Also, bear in mind, you may not be able to choose your team members. Some of them might be assigned to you. So if your Achilles heel is, say, working well with others, you might want to be mindful of that one and be careful around your allies. And then finally, your threats. In the superhero SWOT analysis, your threats are your villains. And I'm not just talking about these iconic villains like the Joker, the Penguin. I'm talking about anything that is an antagonist to our continued success in our environment. Batman, for example, one of his goals was to inspire the residents of Gotham City. He was fighting back against apathy. Apathy was one of his villains. Apathy can be an organizational villain. It might be one of your villains. You have to be aware of what the villains are and where they're hiding, so that way you can position your strengths to overcome them. So now with a superhero SWOT analysis, you can star in your own superhero story. Maybe you're a charismatic leader. Maybe your Achilles heel is that you always see the good in people, but it means that you don't always see the negatives. Maybe your opportunities, your allies, are a tremendous team of workers who are willing to run through a brick wall for you. And maybe your threats are that apathy going around, or an organization or a team resistant to change. Take stock of what your superhero narrative is. Write your comic book, write your story, and think how you will factor into what happens. We all have a superpower. We all have something that makes us remarkable, makes us special. And we can all do something to help our team and to save the world around us. So suit up, assemble, and as always, thank you so much for spending time with me. For more information on Chris Fitzpatrick Speaks, once again, please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, and share the content with anyone you think might enjoy it. Find me on LinkedIn or on Instagram at Chris Fitzpatrick Speaks. And also don't forget, coming soon, new website, chrisfitzpatrickspeaks.com. I hope to see you next time for our next video, and thank you once again for spending this time with me. Now go and save the world.